comic book friends, welcome back to The Worst. This is the top 6 superheroes that you probably didn't know lifted Thor's hammer. No, not that hammer, you sick perverted fool. This hammer. Looky, I can shoot lightning. So if you didn't know, the only way you can wield Thor's hammer is if you're deemed worthy enough by none other than the hammer. So before we get hammering on this list, let me know which is your favorite superhero. Let's get into it and get hammering. Coming in at number 6, Magneto. And I know all of you out there are screaming, heck no, no villain would ever be worthy. And yes, my comic book fanatics, you are right. Magneto was definitely not deemed worthy enough to hold, let alone to use the hammer by himself. In fact, he used his power to control metal to take the hammer for himself right after his son and daughter were murdered. So he did exactly what villains do. He cheated. Flying in at number 5 is the one, the only Superman. Yes, the original superhero was able to pick up the Mjölnir and use it to defeat one of his villains in the DC comic. But there is a sick twist to that issue. When the sexy Superman tries to pick up the hammer after the battle to give it back to Thor, he can't, which ultimately showed everyone that it doesn't just take strength to pick it up, but the ability can be given and taken away based all on when someone is worthy enough to hold it. Number 4, Captain America. In the comics, Cap was not only able to lift the hammer, but he also uses it many times. Unlike Superman, the hammer never refused him. He has always been worthy and true, not only to be the true leader of the Avengers, but also to use a god's weapon. In the movie Avenger Age of Ultron, Cap does get the hammer to move, which implied that he's not presently worthy, perhaps due to the fallout from the Winter Soldier, where he was forced to question a lot of his prior allegiances and even his country as a whole. We will see if his worthiness changes in the new movie. Walking into number 3 is Jane Foster. Yes, the Meet Jane. Besides being Thor's lover, she actually becomes the new Thor in the comics when the Mjölnir dictated that Thor wasn't suitable anymore and chose Jane as the new Thor. We also learn in this issue of the comics is that the name Thor is actually not a name, but a title, just like doctor or a chef. So Jane became Thor, which of course made a lot of comic fans extremely mad that she's basically replaced the gorgeous, sexy god that we know and love. Flipping into the number 2 spot is none other than Black Widow. Everyone knows who she is, of course, because of God's gift to man, Scarlett Johansson. But in the comics, she isn't as popular. So it was an amazing thing to see the assassin pick up and use the hammer. In this issue of the Marvel comic, Thor actually died. I don't mean fake dead, I mean dead, like a doornail or a dead fish or something like that. Anyway, you get the point. After Thor died, it is said that the Mjölnir chose Black Widow because her heart matched the strength of Thor. Now, there is only one number 1, but first, hit the subscribe button for me. And that spot goes to my personal favorite superhero, Wonder Woman. Whoop whoop! She was able to lift the hammer easily. We believe because her own godly powers are very close to that of Thor's. This was during a battle between herself and Marvel's thunder goddess, Storm. But when it finally came time for the epic battle, Wonder Woman chose to discard the hammer, saying that it would be an unfair advantage to use it. She most likely regretted that decision a few seconds later when Storm zapped her with her lightning into submission.